And welcome once again to the Movie and Stuff Show. My name is Dan. Joining me this week, Marty.
How we doing, sir?
Good. A little delay, not as bad as last week, but just a little bit.
It's when we do. We're not meant to do shows alone.
I don't think so. Right when we have like 3 people on. Well, we're gonna have 3 people. Talia had to work. Talia's gonna join us. She had to work. So it means our chat's gonna be, you know. I'm not even gonna make a prediction about the chat this week. of what it's going to be. The chat will be the chat. And,
I am so worried about spoilers. I'm hiding our own chat at the moment.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
I don't even trust our own audience. So.
Yeah. I mean, I heard this one thing that about Luke that he. No, I'm kidding.
There is just to see some things today. People should avoid the Variety review because they could really spoil some things. They might want to avoid that. But most people have been good so far online that I've seen.
Now it opens on Thursday.
Opens Thursday night.
Thursday night, not morning. Not afternoon, Thursday night.
The embargo was lifted this morning.
Okay. So
you're starting to see full reviews out.
Okay. And for those, I guess, that don't know what we're talking about Star Wars?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this episode, we're going to talk about episode 2. Attack of the Clones, and it's episode 8 that's just came out, right? Episode 8's about to come out, so 6 in between, right? 2 to 8. I mean, technically, this is it's the middle of the 3. You know, like, so we talked about Attack of the Clones as the middle of that trilogy, right?
Yeah. So we thought we'd do the last time they tried a sequel.
Yes.
We need to do that.
Yep. So we're gonna talk about that. Talks about some other stuff too, and you know, what's interesting is we'll kind of get right into this if you don't mind. I am not a hater of the prequels. I don't dislike the prequels. I'm not one of the ones that trashes the prequels and says that they're garbage. I find some entertainment value in the prequels. That said, Attack of the Clones is my least favorite of the prequels.
That is standard thinking process.
Right? Like, because as much wrong there is with Phantom Menace, with Jake Lloyd and with Jar Jar, there's a lot that's good. I feel that Qui-Gon is a good character and well played.
Yeah, killed off too soon.
Killed off too soon, but it's still a good death too.
Oh, definitely.
Don't like exactly what they did with quote unquote killing off Darth Maul in Phantom Menace, but some great fights. That whole fight sequence is so awesome. Where he's like behind the laser field and he's like, you know, he looks like a caged tiger at that point. Like, there's so much, and the score in that scene is so good. I think it's one of my favorite kind of you know, the more recent stuff, if you will, that he's done in the Star Wars movies. The more memorable is that, you know, dun, 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 you know, really good. So I think, you know, if you had to rank them, of course, I think it goes 3, 1, 2, right, in that order of the prequels. So rewatching Attack of the Clones, I haven't seen it in a while, and you pointed it out last week. We saw this probably midnight showing, I guess. When they did midnight showings.
I believe we all went into the city as a group back in college to watch this during it, like on a day we all had, I guess, early classes or something.
Okay.
And then we went to some weird burger joint afterwards.
Okay, sounds about right.
Recall.
Okay. Typically, we did the midnight showings, right?
Yeah. I think it was the second viewing for most of us.
Probably did midnight viewing and then probably saw it again. What year is it? This is 2002, right? 2002. This came out. This is episode 2. Yeah.
2002. Yeah.
2002. They did it like every 3 years, right? Because it was like 99,
Yeah. It took a little longer back then.
2002, 2005.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that was it. Um, there's some good stuff of Attack of the Clones. There's some good stuff in here, but I have Marty. I have a laundry list of issues I have with it.
Oh,
A
certainly.
laundry list
Certainly.
of issues that I have with this. That I'm looking at my screen and there's like 30 or 40 points that I wrote down while watching it. Of like, seriously?
Yeah, there's a lot of why are we doing that?
My number one question out of all of this is, were Anakin and Obi-Wan ever friends?
Oh, certainly.
I don't
But
see it in this movie.
that's the issue. Yeah, you don't see it in this
see it
movie. You
at
see it. You see it in the six seasons of the Clone Wars TV show,
Great.
and then you see it in the first hour of Revenge of the Sith. But they're not even together for most of this movie.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
No.
This was the love story movie,
Mhm.
and showing Obi-Wan as kind of the sleuth detective character, which you can comes back in Star Wars. I mean, The New Hope, I suppose.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I made a point to say that the Obi-Wan stuff in this, even visually, a lot of the stuff reminded me of a mix between Blade Runner and Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, I can see there's a lot of Blade Runner-esque stuff when he's on the when he goes to see the clone army for the first time.
It's not just Clone Army, but when they're doing the chase scene, that whole chase sequence of the first bounty hunter, very Blade Runner. The whole city looks like a Blade Runner city. And then I say Who Framed Roger Rabbit because it's not that I dislike the CGI, but the CGI felt so cartoonish that it like, I think of what's his name, Dex, the cook in the diner. When he comes out, he looks like he's a cartoon character from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He doesn't look real.
Those are some of the main issues with this. He did a lot of great things as far as world building in these movies. The visual effects and the sound effects are, I think, were stunning at some points. I think did win awards for sound. But he went so heavy on the CGI in these movies. And it's too much. And some of it's racist. I mean, some of it. And it takes you out of a lot of scenes. And it's when the original trilogy was so based in practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
And to go back to these, and I guess he just found a whole bunch of new toys and he wanted to play with them.
Yeah.
But I understand you had to do Yoda as a visual effect because you couldn't have him the same way he was.
We'll get on that. We'll get to that.
But some of the other characters are just, you could have done something practical with those. Like the diner character.
There's no reason.
That was easily could have been done with something. Some of the other creatures that they speak to, Geonosis, where he's having that whole round table. One of them is just a fucking, I forgot the name of it. I was going to write it down. The big metal thing just like talks through the knobs, and it's just what the fuck is that? The people who design the clones, the gigantic fucking long neck
AI alien type things. Yeah.
Just, and there's only two. They only show two of them, so just they could have done something practical with that. It wasn't. So he did so much visually as far as building the world. Like I said, the scenery, everything we see on Tatooine and Naboo is beautiful. And for especially 2002, I mean, it's just at the beginning almost of kind of HD technology,
right?
And looked really good.
No, it holds up too.
Yeah.
And quick hello to Robert Maley in the chat. I think he'll be the only one joining us tonight until Talia gets out of work. Yeah, I agree. I think I think back, it's like, imagine if Greedo was a damn CGI character. Like, it just wouldn't work. The cantina, if the cantina was CGI,
which he did some of in the new releases.
Yeah, right. And it's to me, I didn't hate the CGI, but it felt very cartoonish, and that's what made me say a Blade Runner / Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because that's exactly what he's trying to figure out. This mystery. And,
I mean, there are ways to do it where it still feels like you're in the same world, but there are points where you feel like he's just talking to this. It's very obvious that Obi-Wan is just walking around on a green screen, talking to himself.
Yes. The interesting thing is, other than the love story aspect, which I guess we'll get into in a minute, I found the plot pretty interesting. I enjoyed the Obi-Wan portion of it where he's out and he's trying to figure out, okay, well, who ordered this clone army, and you know, and you find out some cool nuggets of information throughout the movie. So you find out that the bad guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Lee is probably the best part of the movie, by the way. Count Dooku.
I was thinking, but Count Dooku is the new bad guy of the movie. We don't see Count Dooku for an hour and 15 minutes.
Which is fine. I like the mystery. I don't mind it. But
he wasn't even really talked about that much before then.
They alluded to him, though.
They mentioned him, and it's like, oh, no, Count Dooku would never turn or never...
Yeah. No, I see, he was great. But what you find out is, so Count Dooku, who's the new bad guy, was Qui-Gon's master.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon, of course, trained Obi-Wan. And then you find out at the very end that, of course, that Yoda trained Dooku. So you find out these little nuggets of truth.
It's never clear. Yoda always calls everyone Padawan. So it's never clear who he trains specifically. Because they always show him with a bunch of kids.
Sure. But Dooku specifically said at the end.
Yeah, but then they've also, like in the originals, you would hear Obi-Wan say that he trained under Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's always, I think Yoda's always one step removed from everybody.
I guess so. But anyway, you see this nice little lineage of Jedi, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, no, I like Dooku. I thought Christopher Lee was probably the best. You know, I don't dislike Amidala. Like, I think
she's much better in this the clones than the. I also watched Phantom Menace because they showed them all. They're all on TNT this weekend. TNT, And her performance in the Phantom Menace is just so wooden and odd. I know what they were trying to do with the whole switch at the end with the fake queen and her, but in doing so, they just said, all right, just don't act at all with any emotion for an entire movie, just for this little quick reveal at the end. And that's what the funniest part of this beginning of this movie is, where they come and they're coming back to Coruscant for the Senate. And the first scene of the movie basically is them blowing up the ship with her, the fake looking
doppelganger.
And it's just like she's there. That character could only die, and so they just kill her. And her only words in the movie were, "I'm sorry, I didn't do my job." Well, actually, you did.
You did. Yeah, you were the decoy. You were the decoy. You did your job. You did your job well. You're dead. Yeah. And Amidala's alive. She's not even queen anymore. She's just senator.
No, she's senator because in this world, so stupid. Queens.
I mean, yeah.
Well, in this world, queens have terms.
And you step down and then you become a senator.
Yeah, and they asked her to stay, but then the new queen asked her to be a senator. But then she's not even a senator because she gives her job over to fucking dickhead.
Fucking Jar Jar.
Which is so funny, his role in all this, because he was he's the main problem with Phantom Menace.
Right.
Yeah, gripe. I wouldn't say he's not the main problem. There's a lot of problems. No. But he's the main gripe that came out of the movie. So I'm almost certain Lucas then changed his plans for that character just to show him less.
Right.
Yeah. But I think he must have added that Senate thing in just for another fuck you to the audience, I think.
Yeah. Because, no, not. I don't think it's a fuck you. I think it's more along the lines of okay, you're right, this guy's terrible. Let's have him be the cause of the whole fucking thing falling down, because really he is, because he's the one that essentially gives Palpatine the supreme powers, and Palpatine's like, listen, it's a weird. I'll give these back. I promise.
But that situation too is the part that I really don't like about these movies, in that they make the Jedi so fucking stupid, essentially.
Oh my god, yeah, they're oblivious to all of it, and I mean, they keep saying it's the shadow of the dark side. Yeah,
Palpatine lays out the plan in front of them.
Yeah, yep.
Gets his stooge to do the vote right in front of him, and they just walk out of the office. Oh, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Yeah, how about you, Yoda?
Yoda
doesn't know.
Oh, they overdid it.
He is.
They overdid his speech stuff so much in these movies too.
Terrible. Oh, so awful, man. Like
that was so quaint and like funny in the originals, And then this is just like every sentence is some kind of throw. It's like, oh, come
I
on.
got so many issues with Yoda in this. I got so many issues with Yoda. So Robert Mailer is saying that he liked Portman in the movie, wooden dialogue aside. The dialogue was awful at times.
Oh,
Okay. Here's a couple of my favorites. All right. I can't sleep because of your mother. I dream of Padma. She's intoxicating. Mindful of your thoughts. She's a politician and not to be trusted. It's as if Lucas said, I'm going to read Shakespeare. I'm just going to make it lame. She's intoxicating. I mean, come on. Come on. Like, that's just terrible. And then I joked about it in Twitter. It's like, I hate the sand. I hate the sand, Marty.
It's such a. I know what they're trying to do. He has to hate his homeland. That's why he never goes back there to find Luke. So that's. But it's just so. Every scene where they're on Naboo is so randomly placed. There's no progression to it at all. They're on this like that scene. They're on some kind of deck. It seems like or something. Then they're out in the field on a picnic. Like how I don't know why they're planning picnics, and then they're having this fancy sit down dinner, and then they're out by the fireplace. There's just no. They're just showing them scene by scene. There's no story to it.
Nope.
There's no emotion behind anything they say.
Except for when Anakin's being whiny, saying things like, it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
He's saying lines of a 14-year-old, but he's 19.
Yeah.
That's
right.
that's one of the main problems.
Right. It's a huge problem. And, I mean, frankly, I don't think they did justice and like enough justice for Darth Vader. And it's to me, it's taking Darth Vader down a notch. Like the more that you see of Darth Vader's background and all, as Anakin, it's just like, dude, really? Like I get having to show him as a kid in Phantom Menace. Fine. I probably wouldn't have done it that way. I probably would have like discovered him as like a teenager.
Yeah, that's how it works so much easier like that.
You know? I probably would have was like, okay, he's a teenager. He's going through, because here's the thing: he's going through adolescence. He's confused, and like it could be, you know, the change in the Force could be kind of like this kind of play on puberty and how, you know, like how X-Men kind of does it, right? Like, you know, you go through this change and you start to discover your powers and stuff like that, or even Harry Potter. You know, it works so well. I mean, I know Potter was younger when that all happened too, but at least they got a good actor for that. You know,
and then also the issue in Phantom Menace where they say, oh, he's too young to be he's too old.
Yeah,
he was 8 or 9, 9.
Right.
What? He's too old, and then Luke is too old in Episode 5, and Luke is in his fucking 20s. Right. So everyone older than 6 is too old to be a Jedi.
Except for those younglings get slaughtered in Episode 3.
Also, another huge problem. I can understand it's a family-friendly thing. You don't want to show him killing kids in Revenge of the Sith. There's no reason not to show him slaughtering the Sand people in this movie. They show him killing 2, and then they...
Again, I don't mind that. You know what I mind worse than that? Is that he goes to talk to Padma, and he's just like, I killed them all.
Yeah.
And not just the men. I killed the women. I killed the children. And Padma's just like, it's cool. You know, like, she does not freaked out at all. She's just
also,
like, it's cool. I understand. You're just one psycho. It's fine.
Have him in secret kill the husband, too, or something.
Something, right? You know?
He's clearly angry with them for letting that happen.
Right.
But they just kind of let it walk away. Have him... Even in secret, have him kill him, come back and
force
kill him.
Choke him. Imagine that.
Yeah,
like a force
choke. They do. They make him not so much evil in this one as just bratty and temperamental.
Right.
And,
which is my fear of what they're kind of doing in the new ones with
oh yeah, I can see
with
that.
Kylo. Like that's my fear. Is like they're replicating the same issues that they had. I hope it changes. Listen, but through The Force Awakens, right, and some of the stuff you've seen so far in the trailers, and again, they're just trailers for this new one. They're replicating a lot of the same issues that we had with Anakin in these movies, with Kylo, and I hope they go against that. Like, I don't want him being whiny. I want him being evil. You know, I understand he's conflicted or whatever direction they go with Kylo, but I want him to be evil. I don't want him to be, it's not fair. I'm gonna break stuff. I don't want that.
Well, that's what they started Force Awakens with, him being pretty evil. I mean, they start him, he just comes in and kills the old man without issue.
Right.
But then they slowly show him to be a tortured, you know, breaking things and throwing. And they're funny points. They're funny points in the movie. Yes. I'll give you that.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they are. Yeah.
But you know, I mean, and they again in the trailers we've seen too. He's very conflicted. It seems is because it's actually they don't show it in the movie, but in the book for the Force Awakens, which counts. I mean, I don't know how much it counts, but it does count as a true story.
It's canon, right?
It is canon.
Yeah. Right.
When he killed the thought Snoke had always told him that by killing his father, everything would go away, all his conflictions, and he'll ascend to the power that he, you know, dreams of. And that doesn't happen when and that's why I think we see him breaking his mask in the trailer, and why he's still conflicted now, because what he was sold by Snoke is not what really happened. Now, if it turns out now, I hope it's, again, not a thing where he's going to now try and get Rey on his side to take down Snoke, so they can, you know, kind of like the same thing Vader did with Luke to take down the Emperor. I mean, if you're thinking these are just going to be rehashes of Empire and rehashes of Return of the Jedi, then that's the plot you would think, the natural plot progression. But again, we'll see it on Thursday. I haven't heard. I'm trying my best to stay away from people's thoughts on Twitter, but I've only seen one person say that it draws any resemblance to Empire Strikes Back so far.
Okay, well, yeah, I've heard good things. I've heard good things, and it's a good thing you got the chat closed because some people are talking.
Is someone finally talking to Melee?
Not talking to Melee. Talking just throwing out random facts about the new movie.
Oh, that's a nice thing to do to people.
I don't believe it. First off, it doesn't sound to be true, but we'll see. We'll see. You know what I can't believe is true is that R2-D2 could fly.
Well, it's not even as bad in this one as it is in Sith, because in Sith he's like a full-on action star. He flies around,
shoots things.
And I mean, they explain it away at the end of Revenge of the Sith, where they say, "All right, clear their memory banks and clear their whatever." But
still. Oh, and by the way, let's disconnect his flying capabilities, because this droid does not need to fly and shoot lasers and missiles and stuff. If I found this droid and it's like, shit, I got a R2-D2 model that flies and shoots lasers and shit, I'm gonna bring him on board. Like, I'm gonna take him with me.
Yeah.
I want him on my side. I want him part of the Empire, because he can come in handy. You know what? He could probably shoot people. Where these clones, they can't shoot people.
No.
No.
These clones could in
yes, these clones could. So that begs the question. So you've watched all the cartoon and stuff like that, the Clone Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know now in the Force Awakens that it's not clones, as the stormtroopers.
Yeah, eventually when the Empire took over after New Hope,
people, right?
The clones became unmanaged. You know, just they kept breaking down and stuff. So they just had to go to her.
So
and people
happen. Yeah.
And like any real society, people needed jobs.
Okay.
So they made them soldiers. Yeah.
All right. So in New Hope, then the people that blow up on the Death Star aren't clones; they're actually humans with families.
And there are some good books on that too that show where, you know, that's why people are still loyal to the Empire, because, like, well, you know, you blew up all my friends that day. Why would I join the rebellion? You know. And that's a lot of that still is in now with the new Empire, or what they want to be called now. So yeah, it's very. They don't do a lot of that in the movies, but the books I do enjoy for that kind of thing. They personalize some of the dark side and show why people, you know, if you have like any other society, like I said, if you have no choice but to, you know, join the Emperor, join the army, and, you know, that's where all the jobs are. And that's, you know, they're real people.
Hey, listen. We
know
when the economy is suffering and people need jobs, they'll do desperate things, Martin.
And that's the problem too, in that you have a war in this movie with the final scene is it's pretty epic as far as the battle scene they show with, but it's clones that we don't care about fighting robots.
No, it is great. Like I like it though.
It's great theater.
It is.
But...
I like the whole gladiator thing.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I like when the Jedi show up and they start, and they get in trouble, and then so it's great. All of that's great. I like when they finally confront Dooku, and it's Obi-Wan and it's Anakin. I like all that. And you know where it drops off. And you know what I'm going to say, Marty. You know I'm going to say it.
I can argue with you on this one.
You're going to argue with me? Goddamn Ninja Yoda.
Granted, yes. But go back to 2002 and remember being in the audience when it's all quiet and then you just hear that cane coming. The first showing at least, the place went fucking nuts.
No, I know. But listen, when you knew he was going to fight, it was cool. But when he starts just doing these fucking, like little fucking, I'm like, are you serious? And then he can barely fucking move by the time Luke comes around.
But he has, it's 40. He can barely move throughout the movie. It's just when he has to
like
fight.
800 years old.
Oh,
so 840 is the cutoff, Marty?
It's only when he has to fight that he uses the Force to, move around. It's like that character in Game of Thrones. Who's the old guy in Game of Thrones? Who walks around with all the chains and he acts like an old man all the time.
Pycelle,
then he's in his own room, he's doing push-ups and shit. But yeah, that was the point of the movie that left you leaving the theater feeling like, all right, that was fun. Yoda threw down. But I can't think of when, because I know when I saw this movie, I liked it. I can't try to remember when I first realized, wow, these aren't that good. I remember getting the VHS of Phantom Menace when it first came out. And on first watching, I'm like, wow, parts of this are really boring.
I saw Phantom Menace like 7 times in the theaters, Marty.
Yeah.
Like 7 times. I'm not even kidding. I saw it 7 times.
I know there was a lot of Jar Jar stuff right off the bat, but there was still not, we hate these are awful thoughts right away with these movies. I don't know if it just built up over time, because it wasn't like a BVS. I don't know. It's just different now, maybe with the internet the way it is. But there wasn't some kind of big outcry like we're seeing now with Justice League and, we got to scrap everything. People were still buying into these movies. They were still coming back and wanting to see where it went.
Yeah.
But I'm still, I would defend them for a while, saying that I love them.
I still defend them. Like they're not terrible. I think the people that say oh, they're terrible, they're not Star Wars. That's not true. There's so much good DNA and so much good visually, and there's a lot of Lucas pours a lot into it. He misfires. That's the thing. Is like, it's not like these are bad stories. It's just the execution of the story. It's just it misses. It's not 100% on target. Execution,
and I think from the very beginning, I think the casting was off in a lot of spots.
I'm honestly not a fan of Obi-Wan.
Really, because he's the one that survived it basically unscathed.
He did, but you watch his performance here, and it's the same thing. Like, whereas Portman and Christopher Lee, and even Samuel L. Jackson, they do well with bad dialogue.
Oh, I don't know about Sam Jackson.
I think Sam Jackson does fine with the bad dialogue. Obi-Wan, it is because it's Sam Jackson. He does the same thing. So it's not noticeable when he's, I hate when he crosses his legs and sits down though. Like he does he sits down next to Yoda and he does
also at the end where they're doing the big battle scene and he's like, it looks like it's over for Anakin and Obi-Wan Padme, but then he shows up. And it's a perilous situation. They're about to die, and he still has to do a Sam Jackson strut into the scene.
Right, yeah.
It's like, and then another big problem, they build up Jango Fett.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then he's just... it builds up Mace Windu's character as an all-powerful Jedi, but he just 2 moves and chops his head off. Why'd you build this character up for so much? And then...
Right. Well, because I think it's the whole mock on how they've built up Boba Fett.
there were too many winks to the originals in this. You didn't have to do it. Like in the beginning of the movie, where I think right after that too long of a chase scene with the original bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Because it would look great. It looks cool, but it goes on for a while. Obi-Wan and Anakin walk into the bar. And he's like, "Oh, you're gonna be the death of me one day." It's like, "Oh,
yeah,
we know."
But no, I'm not a huge fan of McGregor.
Because he's the one,
and he looks like Jesus Christ. Like, he looks like Jesus in this movie.
But if they do another one, it's gonna be him.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I like Ewan McGregor as an actor. His role in Fargo season 3. I don't know if you watch Fargo.
Yeah.
Fargo. I loved it. His 2 roles in Fargo season 3.
I mean, he's
great actor.
done a lot of good things. And I mean, like, that's a weird thing too. They had so much. I mean, Portman is an Oscar winner.
Yes.
Sam Jackson is great.
She did good. Like, honestly, like, it's really bad dialogue, and I think either McGregor just didn't try, or whatever it was. But it was very obvious with him. I mean, Hayden Christensen. I feel bad for the guy. Kinda.
He finally came back this year to one of the celebrations for the 20th year anniversary or whatever it was.
He'd been
and he got a pretty big ovation.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see him just welcome back somewhat. But I'm trying to see if this was one of his first. This had to be his first movie.
Probably.
Yeah, he's just. Because I've seen him in other things where he's just bad. Because he was in what was the movie where he was the plagiarist?
I'm not sure.
The guy. We're so prepared on this show sometimes. I tell you.
No, we're not.
Come on. Oh, he was in Jumper. That was awful. But Shattered Glass, where he played Stephen Glass, the guy who wrote for the New Republic, who was stealing everything. Just so bad in that. Oh god. So yeah, he was just but I don't know who you would have gotten in that instance. I remember hearing an old interview with Ryan Phillippe where they said they were after him to be the guy,
Not
but
bad.
I think he would have been bad as well.
Yeah.
So
Probably.
So it's hard. Like I said, the way they wrote him too, it's just so hard. They wrote early teenage dialogue for a 19-year-old, so it just didn't
jive, man. It just wasn't good.
Like his petulant behavior would make more sense if he was younger. So, but it's and
they
also
should have wrote this dialogue and had him in episode 1 doing these things.
And then again, the love relationship between him and Padme. It's just when she first met him, he was 9. So it's like, all right, now I get it. Now he's 10 years older and he's good looking, but it's weird how fast she falls in love with him again. And considering his very stalkerish behavior in the beginning of the movie,
very stalkerish, and like he says some weird stuff. He's such a creep in this.
Yeah,
he's got such creepy looks in this, and I mean he slaughters those Tusken Raiders, and she's all like, "Oh man, he can really slaughter people. That's hot."
Yeah,
And
then again, right before they go out for the gladiator scene, she like professes love to him, and it's like it just comes out of nowhere. It's like,
I love you.
Also,
You do?
And another thing that bugs me a bit: where does she get that key? As they're going out for the gladiator scene, you see her pocket a key.
Oh! I thought it was like a hairpin or something like that.
I have no idea where it came from. That's another thing too. Every scene, her hair is amazingly different without any kind of work. Yeah. Like, oh, today I'm gonna have massive braids all over them. It's like, all right, you're in the desert. Where are you getting all this work done?
I got two questions for you. All right.
Yeah.
First is why? Well, 3 questions. Why did Django have to hire another assassin? What was the point?
Well, you gotta, when you get as big as he has, you gotta, you can't do all the jobs, I suppose.
Come on. It's just forced, so forced. Like, it would have just been better off that so-and-so hired this assassin to do it. This person failed, so then you send Django out to end the job because Django's the best, right? The fact is that Django hired another assassin.
Yeah. It's also funny that
he outsourced his work.
We talked about, we talked disaster artists last week with all the kind of wooden, unnecessary dialogue. When Obi-Wan first goes to meet him and Boba answers the door.
Oh, God.
Like, is your dad home? Yep. Can you go get him? Okay.
Okay. Dad, someone's at the door.
And then when Padme falls off the ship at the end, she's just laying there, you know, with her cut T-shirt. They run over to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you zoom in and show some like pain or something?
God. Yeah. So that was question one was that.
Yeah.
Question two is then when the assassin gets caught and Django shows up, he shoots a toxic dart at her.
Yep.
Where we know later on in the movie, dude's got missiles in his jetpack.
Well, you don't want to make
it. But why not? But there's 2 Jedi right there. Why not shoot missiles and kill them all?
Fair point as well, but I would assume he doesn't want it. He's not looking to make a scene. I mean, this Coruscant is basically, you know, New York, so it's basically you don't want to make a big scene in the middle of New York, I guess, when you're on a covert mission. But yeah, and again, if he's there as it is, why not just take care of it instead of hiring somebody if you're just going to follow the person that you hired anyway?
All right, so my last question, and this is I can't say it's the most serious one. I'm genuinely asking because you know Star Wars so much better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Does the timeline match up now that we've seen Rogue One?
Yeah.
With having the plans for the Death Star in this movie?
Well, that's the interesting thing. It's always the thing too, where people say, "How come they built the second Death Star so quickly?" There was 2 Death Stars. The Trade Federation had their own plans, and they're trying to build theirs. And then the Empire, while at the same time, Palpatine is building his own for the Empire. And they're kind of, it's not even an arms race, but it's just we're trying to build 2 of these things to see how. And they were going to just steal the Trade Federation when it was done. But so they always had the plans. The issue was never building the Death Star.
It was the Kyber crystal.
It was the Kyber. It was
the super laser.
Yeah, being able to harness the power of the Kyber crystal, and that's why they needed Mads Mikkelsen in Rogue One to do it.
So that's all he did. He didn't really design the actual fucking Death Star. All he did was working on the laser.
Yeah, he did. He worked his whole life with Kyber crystals, and they tricked him. That's why I love. There's a book before Rogue One that's so much better than Rogue One, which annoyed me. Where they tricked him into thinking he was trying to build something that almost like Iron Man, trying to build a reactor or some kind of power source that would, you know, ironically enough, unlimited power, as the Emperor would say. But they were secretly using it to build a Death Star.
Okay. So the timeline then is fine then.
It's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just the fact that they had schematics for it too was not.
Yeah.
But there's only a 3-year. That's the issue. Between Menace and the Clones is a 10-year break.
10 year, and there's only 3.
Only 3. Yeah, it's only 3 with the next one.
And then New Hope is 20. Is it like 20 something? Because Luke is in his lower 20s, right?
Yeah. So that's why it took. Which is, I guess, it is a little odd that it took 20 years to finalize the Death Star. But
to build it, yeah.
Well, because they had, they end Sith when you see like the shell of it being built.
Right. So it takes 20 years to finalize it. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, you always run into that kind of problems when you go backwards.
Sure.
We had the same problem with Rogue One where, and doing it in the cartoons as well. But first Rogue One where Vader is, killing everybody with ease, but then by the movie standards, days later.
Yeah, he's all
kind of lumbering around with Obi-Wan. And then at the same time, in the newest cartoons, Rebels, Obi-Wan dispatches the back-to-life Darth Maul with 2 moves. But then, at least that's a year or 2 later, in New Hope, he's slow and, doesn't have much left. So that's where you get into the issue of going backwards and fucking up with the timeline and canon. And I'm worried with that. That's a big concern with Han Solo, because that's, Aaron Reich is not so much younger than what we see Harrison Ford in A New Hope. So, they can't get too much with the character at this point.
Yeah, it's rough, too, because, you see Obi-Wan okay, so Obi-Wan in Phantom Menace is probably in his 20s, right?
He's 10 years older than Anakin.
Okay, so he's 19, right?
Yeah.
19
Well,
or 20?
Anakin's 19 in
Okay, so then he's 29 in this.
29 in this movie.
So then
32.
32. So then he's 52?
He's closer to 60, I saw, for New Hope.
So again, like the math just isn't right unless Luke is like 25. Are we saying Luke's 25 then in A New Hope?
Then no, he's definitely not that old. He's
No,
probably...
I would say 20, 21, you know?
I was looking at that.
I don't think the times work. Again, it's just continuity stuff. And then by the time you see Alec Guinness, like Alec Guinness looks like he's 60 something or 70. Like he looks a lot older, you know?
Here comes Star Wars here.com issue or facts. Obi-Wan is 25 in episode 1. Episode 2 is 10 years later. Episode 3. So he's 35. 38
plus 20 is 58. Okay. He's closer to 60 then.
Luke is 21 in episode 4.
Okay.
So it's 21 years later.
So it's like 59, close to 60.
Yeah, okay. Like I said, close to 60. And I guess, 20 years in the desert too will age you.
I guess so. Yeah.
That's the interesting thing too. If they do a Obi-Wan movie that everyone's screaming for, does he leave the planet? Because he, when he first sees Luke, it's like, oh, no one's called me that in a while. I can't. It would be weird if they had him do something with Vader again. But then if you don't, what's the point of the movie?
Yeah, it's weird.
They'd have to create another villain somehow.
He'd have to leave the planet because again, like it's gonna cause trouble if he's staying on Tatooine and he's got to deal with Vader. Like, a lot of this stuff just I know that they try to explain it away, but it doesn't add up. The more you go back about it, the less it makes sense that
they also understand
he knows he meets fucking Owen and Lars, right? Like
that's what threw me. That's what got me looking at the ages things, because when they introduce Owen, who is a young
what's that? It's Owen and Baruch. What's the
Baruch,
right?
But the actor is it was funny. I looked it up. I forgot it again. But he said, "Oh, I guess I'm your stepbrother," and it stopped me for a second because I forgot. I was like, "No, he couldn't." It's like not really a stepbrother, even really, because he's the husband's son from another marriage. So then
stepbrother, yeah, it's not half brother, it's stepbrother, yeah, that's right.
But I was like, I was the first second like that time the age doesn't work if they were the same mother, but that wasn't the case.
No.
So that threw me for a second, but Egerton was the guy. I don't know if you realize that one.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Joel Egerton. And he's had some fun jokes. Like, I think we need to give Owen a standalone.
I think he needs one. Yeah, Uncle Owen, right?
And I guess he would in a Obi-Wan movie. He would be around.
He'd have to have a.
You'd probably have to have you'd have to have a young Luke, depending on what time you're in.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think this isn't. I didn't hate it again. I still can't bring myself to hate it. But when you watch them back in a critical way, it's hard to overlook some.
There's so much crap in this, and again,
it's
the
longest. It was the longest to date.
Was it? Yeah, it felt long.
It feels it. Yeah,
it feels really long. I mean, again, if you're ranking Star Wars movies, I mean,
this is the worst. It's not really too debatable.
I mean, yes, but I'm not a fan of Rogue One.
Yeah, neither was I. That's what always worried me.
I put Phantom Menace over Rogue One. So I mean, to me, it's almost like Attack of the Clones is the worst, and then Rogue One is better than that.
Well, we're going to get to a point eventually where we're going to be able to rank just the episodic ones. And then we'll have a whole other bracket for these
standalones. Yeah.
But Rogue One, I thank at least for making me understand that I'm not just a blind Star Wars fan. That because that's what I worried about with the prequels so much that I defended them so much. Like, well, I just love everything Star Wars. But I had even from the initial viewing, I had major issues with Rogue One.
I have yet to rewatch The Force Awakens, and I know on Twitter there was some discussion about The Force Awakens being worse than Attack of the Clones. I've yet to rewatch it since I've seen it in theaters.
I can understand that. That's interesting because this is the first Star Wars that's been so readily available on TV a lot. It was on HBO all the time and a couple other things, and now it's even on Netflix. So if you want to watch it before you go see Jedi,
maybe, yeah.
But then you can make the point, I suppose, that for all the flaws of the prequels, it's at least an attempt at originality.
Force Awakens is just a remake.
It's just, I mean, I give that point away to an extent. It is, but there are still new characters and new directions. So, but it's still, I would still say it's a much better movie. As far as just acting and
I liked it. I liked it when I saw it. In fact, I'm trying to think back. I might have seen it with Robert Melee. I think so, maybe. Robert Melee can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I saw The Force Awakens with him, and many moons ago, and I liked it. I had a positive reaction to it, but I've yet to rewatch it. So I don't know. I'm not huge into Star Wars. I enjoy it. I enjoy Star Wars. You're huge into Star Wars. I enjoy Star Wars. The only one that I could say that if it's on, that I stop and I continue watching it is Empire. It's the only one, if it's on, that I'll stop and I even watch a half hour for whatever it is. It's the only one, because I like A New Hope a lot, but knowing how much better Empire is makes me say, is like, I kind of wish I was watching Empire.
That's the weird thing about like I said, as much as I love Star Wars, it's not always a thing where I'll stop and watch it if it's on, because sometimes you just got to be in the mood to watch it, or it's not a movie. It's not always a movie either where you can just pick up wherever at any point and watch. Like, there are movies that whenever it's on, I'll watch, but that's oddly not always the case. Star Wars. Like,
I'm more Lord of the Rings like that, though. Is I can watch Lord of the Rings at any point of Lord of the Rings. I can pick it up and I can just, like, especially the second one. It's like Two Towers. When that one's on, it's just any point of the movie I can turn it on. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm watching the rest of it. I'm screwed. You know. Not so much with Star Wars. You really do have to be in a mindset.
Yeah, you really do. It's not just that's why. And I've dealt with people in my life. Oh, I just can't watch Star Wars. Like, I still can't really understand how you've never watched it. Just for the same reason that people tell me I've never seen The Godfather. It's like, well, just it's these movies or movies that people say are some of the greatest ever made. Just, carve out 3 hours of your life one day and just say.
Listen, I used to know this guy. His name is Danny Moe, and he never watched Star Wars. And we used to bust on him all the time because it's like, how can you never watch Star Wars? And so, like, we'd always imitate his voice and just be like, so wait, Chewbacca was a Wookiee? It's just like, it's like, what's a Star Wars?
Like, even something like, Avatar, which is like not something I'd probably be interested in, but it's like, well, 2 billion people went to this thing. Let me go check it out just so
I've never seen it. There's no point. If they re-released it in theaters,
which I'm sure it will.
I would go see it. Listen, I would go see Avatar if they put it in theaters. I would see it in IMAX, 3D.
Yeah. Oh, that's the only reason to see it. It's still the best. Yeah, it's still the best experience I've had in IMAX 3D.
That's the only reason I'd see it. So Robert Melee is saying that, yes, I saw it with him. He said it was bad. Force Awakens.
Like, originally he thought that, though?
Yes, he did. No. As soon as we walked out of the theater, I remember him turning to me. He's like, man, that was awful. Okay. I'm like, no, come on. It was good. And I'm like, I'm trying to, like, convince him. He said, no, it was bad. He said it just, wasn't what it was billed to be. He wasn't looking for a remake. So it was enjoyable. So it wasn't, awful. And then he asked, what's a Chewbacca? And Chewbacca is a Wookiee. Yes. Yeah, seriously, like, this guy Danny Moe, like, we'd be like, wait, you've never seen any Star Wars? Like, never seen Star Wars.
It's like, when you have movies like that, like I said, Godfather, that are so much that they become pop culture, where you don't know what people are talking about sometimes if you haven't seen it. It's just, like I am your father is regular conversation almost.
Except for when Homer ruins it.
That's what I mean. It's getting so weird with spoilers these days. Like you have to worry about. It didn't used to be like this. I don't know what Like I've seen a 10 o'clock showing on Thursday. I'm worried that people are going to come out of the 7 o'clock.
Have these headphones on. La 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 la. Like when I went, what was the last movie that we went to go see? Not Disaster Artist. The last like kind of blockbustery.
Justice League.
Justice League.
No.
I'm in the parking lot in Justice League, and I get out, and I hear people talking about it like outside of the movie theater. And it's like, frankly, I don't care, But still, it's like, really, you're standing out in the middle of the street, just like, yeah. And the part when Superman comes back, I was like, listen, I knew it was gonna happen.
There's a point, like with
still,
those movies that you can't spoil too much anymore with shit like that.
I guess not.
But like some with Star Wars, where you're worried, you think about who's gonna die or who's gonna be revealed as this person, that person. There's so much to be spoiled that you don't want to fuck up someone's day. Because I remember a friend of yours fucked up Force Awakens, didn't he?
Yeah. yes. Jamil just got here. And he
says Jamil's never in the chat.
I know, he's never in the chat. I was almost tempted to ask him to join us on the show. Maybe we'll have him join us. Jamil, now that you're joining us, I'm extending an invite. If you want to go see episode 8 and want to join us next week, you're invited. Jamil's invited. Episode 8. You can talk with us. But he said Attack of the Clones is terrible.
Yeah, we're not arguing that.
Yeah, no, listen, we can't argue it. We can't argue, but there's levels of terribleness.
There's not a blanket terrible. There are still things in it that work, I'll say. Yeah. The lightsaber battles are... That's another thing with the prequels probably relied too heavily on lightsaber battles.
Way too much. It became a thing.
Yeah. Even when the last scene is great with the battles, but they all show up and like do their poses. It's like, all right, come on. Yeah.
Jamil says yes. Jamil has accepted. He's going to be on the show next week.
There you go.
So Jamil's going to be with us next week.
He still has fans.
Yes. Yes, Robert Melee. Yes. So, comes out this Thursday.
Thursday. Very excited. I'm into the nervous phase now.
Again, like, I'm probably gonna have to see it Thursday night because Saturday, in theory, I still haven't seen an invite from you. But Saturday, I believe, is your meatball Christmas party.
Saturday or Sunday, whichever is easier.
Whatever's easier. So before I go to that, I have to see it.
You kind of have to because Mike is gonna see it.
Yeah, Mike sees it Friday.
Seen it.
Yeah. So there's gonna be Star Wars talk, much to my wife's chagrin. And
we were respectful because the same thing happened with Force Awakens. That's why I do love that these movies are coming out around Christmas. It's just fun for me.
Yeah, it works for you. No, it does. And even last year, I remember. Is Nick? Do you know which day Nick's gonna?
Nick is seeing it Saturday night, so he might have to see it. He's gonna have to go to the Sunday party. I told him.
Yeah, because again, like it's nice to we should have Nick on too. Maybe I'll have Nick and Jamil.
Nick and Jamil works.
I think Nick and Jamil. I don't think they've ever been on together.
Maybe once for a comic book movie.
Maybe it's possible. Yeah, like
maybe Doctor. No, not the first one this summer.
Wasn't Guardians of the Galaxy?
Maybe it might have been Guardians or Spider-Man.
Did we have 5 or 6? Like I can't.
There was one of them we had 5. Either Spider-Man or Guardians we had 5.
Well, because Amanda, Jamil, me, you, Abe. Yeah. That was probably the 5 that we did. That was for
either Guardians or Spider-Man. We'll link it. We'll link both of them on the
Maybe it's 6. Maybe it's 6 because Justin, I think, was on too, right?
It was one where we went crazy with 6.
I think that was it. I think it was at Guardians we did 6, maybe.
Yes, that was somehow we in the middle of a review about another movie. We started talking about BVS again.
Of course. Well, you kind of have to, right?
Maybe it was Wonder Woman.
No, we had 6 for Guardians because Jamil was on for Guardians. I mean, JML was on, and so was Jamil because that was the whole What is Love?
What is Love?
Yeah. I think we had like 6 people on. I don't have the technical capabilities to have 6 people on. I can barely have 2 people on.
It's too much.
I can do 4. I can do 4 people.
Yeah,
and that's
6,
it.
Even 6 gets too much. People don't get their, people start talking over each other. It gets too.
Yeah.
We don't. When we're big time, we have our studio. We can get. we can get 6 people in.
Listen, by the time we're big time and we can have 6 people, it'll be like a regular show where we just have like people on for segments. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, and joining us for this segment, Jamil. We're going to talk about some, comic book stuff or whatever. And then it's like, all right, Jamil, thanks. On the, I don't know, think of an advertisement on the Starbucks hotline. Like, hey, listen, if Starbucks, I would pimp the shit out of Starbucks. I drink not as much as I used to. When I had a Starbucks in my building, but I got a Starbucks across the street from me, so...
There's almost always a Starbucks within a stone's throw, as they would say.
Well, now they're invading. There's one. They're in Targets now. They're in Barnes and Noble. Like, literally, in the Clifton Commons, there's 2 Starbucks. Because there's one in Stop and Shop, and then there's one in Barnes and Noble.
Well, they're what keeping Barnes and Nobles afloat. So
Probably.
It's actually a Starbucks with a Barnes and Noble in it at this point.
I'm very not surprised, but I'm very surprised. We like 55 minutes in.
We talked a lot. Yeah,
talked
I can talk Star Wars.
I know you can. I know, but a good chunk of the majority of it was Attack of the Clones. I mean, we talked some other of the Star Wars movies, which is great because this is the idea.
Yeah,
was a primer,
that was the point.
For the new movie. We'll definitely have definitely have Jamil and
depending on my mood after seeing it, maybe I'll do a Facebook Live for the channel and throw it up.
maybe. All right.
Quick little review after I see it tomorrow or Thursday, rather.
I got like 4 or 5 minutes left. What else? Anything entertainment-wise that we got to cover? I don't want to talk politics. I don't even want to look at CNN right now.
I'll just say the Golden Globes were announced today.
Okay.
And run through that. We've seen some of them already.
Okay.
Best Motion Picture, we talked about Dunkirk last week. That was nominated.
Very good film.
And 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which I saw. So that's nominated also with. They break it up oddly with the drama and comedy.
So it's
comedy musical.
It's comedy.
It's comedy with Get Out.
Ooh.
And I, Tonya, which we wanted to see.
Yeah.
That was the big issue with Get Out. When they announced what category it'd be under, the fact that it was comedy was insulting. I've seen Get Out. I've seen most of them. I can't say I've seen it all. I've seen like the last hour and a half of it or so. And I could see where it would fit under comedy. It's not a horror movie. I'll tell you that much.
It's a dark comedy.
It's
really
a dark
comedy. It's a dark comedy.
So Golden Globe catches a lot of shit, but they do this so they can nominate a lot of movies and get a lot of people to the.
It's not like that Mission to Mars or whatever one that one was. Yeah.
I mean, there's a character in Get Out that's just tells jokes the whole time. So I don't think you can't get on your high horse and say, "Oh, we're not a comedy."
Right. Okay.
Lady Bird, which is the most
we'll see that one.
Highest rated Rotten Tomato movie of all time, apparently now is also in that. I'm assuming there's music in that then because it's under that comedy musical category. Nolan was nominated for Dunkirk.
Okay, cool.
Spielberg, of course, for The Post. Yep. Del Toro for Shape of Water.
Okay.
McDonough for 3 Billboards movie. Best Actress is going to be tough this year because you got Frances McDormand. We talked about last week. Meryl Streep in The Post, of course. Michelle Williams, All the Money in the World. Margot Robbie fell under that the comedy area, but I'm assuming she'll be nominated for an Oscar. And then Jessica Chastain in Molly's Game. Have you seen the trailers for that one?
I haven't. I like Jessica Chastain though.
Yeah, but she's playing a woman who ran a celebrity poker game. It was in the news in the I want to say the early to mid 2000s.
Okay.
Best smoke shoot over the TV because that's the fun thing about the Golden Globes. It's both. Best television, The Crown on Netflix. You ever watch that?
Never watch it.
I've heard a lot of good things. I haven't done it. Game of Thrones is back this year. Stranger Things. This Is Us is the only network show.
I don't watch that show. I know a lot of people that like it, but it doesn't seem up my alley.
And then The Handmaid's Tale.
My wife likes that. It's on it's Amazon.
Hulu.
Yeah. It's Hulu. Yep.
This year will be interesting with the award shows because remember, it's so much with the Hollywood left against Trump type shit, and then you also have all the people with the Weinstein and all that shit.
Yeah.
Best actor.
Who's hosting again? It's
I think it's. I want to say it's Kimmel.
Is it Kimmel?
He might be.
I don't think it's Kimmel. I remember who it was.
Yeah, it was one. It's one of the guys.
Yeah, I think so. Seth?
Seth Meyers.
Yeah,
So
Seth.
I mean, he's ultimate anti-Trumper.
Mm-hmm.
But then Best Actor is going to be really interesting this year.
Okay.
Not so much the Golden Globes, but Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hanks, of course, with The Post. Let me get to it.
So wait, are they not releasing?
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis is
So he
nominated.
is. Okay, so they are releasing it for this year.
Very
limited.
Yeah,
because it doesn't. I think it's like February is when it comes out.
it's coming out late January. I think
Late
I saw a trailer for it today, and it's weird. The only reason I would go see this movie is because of Daniel Day-Lewis, but it doesn't look like a movie that interests me at all.
Whoa! You're not a fan of Paul Thomas Anderson?
Not he's hit or miss.
Really?
Me.
So okay, There Will Be Blood.
Yes.
Fantastic. The Master.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You seen Inherent Vice?
I have not. No.
It's funny movie.
One, yeah.
Really, really good with Joaquin. Magnolia.
No.
That's a divisive one.
Yeah.
I know a lot of PTA fans that Boogie Nights.
But yeah, Boogie Nights. Love that one.
So I'm just saying, like, if I run down PTA movies,
Yeah.
and even Punch Drunk Love, a lot of people haven't seen it. I
Yeah.
want to rewatch it. It's really good. When you start mentioning his movies, it's like, oh yeah, he's great. You know.
But Gary Oldman, I think, also will get a lot of attention for Darkest Hour. I saw that today. It's it works as a companion piece unintentionally for Dunkirk because it talks about the same time period, but from the political side.
Interesting. Okay.
And so it took me a while to get used to him as Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
And but as the movie goes along, he really takes on the character, and he's very outstanding in the role.
Did you go to London on your European adventure, or no? You never
Yeah.
made it to London? You did. Did you spend a lot of time there, or just a little bit?
I've been in total time in London of 2 trips, probably 7 days.
Okay. Did you do the Churchill Museum there? The Churchill War Museum?
No,
It's fantastic. It's so fantastic. I mean, all the World War II stuff that's there. I mean, first off, it's terrifying. You see the pictures. You see like the devastation of London. It's horrific. But the Churchill Museum, like again, like I was a history guy. Like I got my degree in history, so I mean, I've always been fascinating with that. But the Churchill Museum, amazing. They recreated some of his rooms. Of how it looked and just everything to a T. It was amazing. It was really good.
That's the point of this movie, and of course Dunkirk, which you talk about. It's just how close Europe came to completely falling to Germany.
Completely.
The point of the movie is that Churchill once it takes on just as Churchill becomes prime minister. Mm-hmm. The movie itself only takes place over a couple weeks, and it's basically his war cabinet wanted them to just start talking about surrendering.
Yeah.
And he finally, fighting against himself, and King George the Sixth, played by Ben Mendelsohn, actually,
I love Ben Mendelsohn.
Very good role. He finally comes to his side and says, "You know what? No, I'll back you whatever decision you make," because there's some interesting points in the movie where he's like, "All right, so I guess we're gonna have to move to Canada,"
yeah.
And then, there was Stephen Delane. I don't remember him. He's been in a lot of things.
Yeah.
He plays like almost like what we would call probably a Secretary of State type character, and he's just very against the war. He thinks they're going to lose if they try to fight Germany, so they start trying to go behind him and get rid of him, or either just pressure him into doing peace talks. And it's just flip of the coin whether or not they're going to try and fight it off or just And it leads up to his infamous speech, of course, with the so that's the end of the movie. But again, it's it's something we'll talk about more in Oscar season. It's not a movie it'll get swallowed up a bit. Everything's gonna get swallowed up for the next couple weeks. But,
yeah, it's done. Yeah.
But if it's something that sticks in theaters, I would say go see that one.
Coco's the big movie right now, right?
Coco has been the last 3 weeks number one. Yeah.
So Disney handing off to Disney. Yeah.
That'll probably get nominated for best animated. I would say. Yeah, Disney. Yeah, Disney. I mean. We talked about this last week with the Fox potential buyout. Yeah, Disney already owns. Yeah. Justice League only had a 1 week, 2 week window, maybe.
1 week.
Maybe 1 week. 1 week. Yeah, Coco took it back over.
Coco knocked it out after week 2. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just no one would have. 2 years ago, if you'd have bet that one, you'd have won some money.
Jamil saying in the chat that he loves Paul Thomas Anderson. See, I knew I had to have Jamil on the show more often. What else? Golden Globes. What else?
That's about it. Yeah, it's good. Like, there's no clear-cut favorite really right now, so it's going to be interesting. Like, people say, "Oh, Golden Globes don't matter," but last year, for the most part, everything that won a Golden Globe was either favored for the Oscar or won it.
Right.
So these awards usually do follow suit. Oh, what funny thing I did note: Best Supporting Actor, Plumber taking over for Kevin Spacey.
Amazing.
Like,
you look at the trailers of that, you can hardly tell that it was a recut.
Well, that was a funny thing about that movie. When I first saw the trailer, it seemed like Spacey wasn't going to be in it that much. He was kind of this, dark figure in the background kind of thing. So, but the idea that he just kind of reshot this, which makes me think like they were going to nominate Spacey anyway, so I guess we'll just nominate Plumber.
Mm-hmm.
So that was funny that he just kind of grabbed this role in a 2-week span, filmed it.
Did what's his name? Who
James
directed
Franco?
No, who directed that? It's
Oh yeah, he was nominated as well.
He better be.
Everyone was Michelle Williams nominated for it.
I can't think of his name. God damn it.
Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, as we talked about last week, we were debating whether Franco would get nominated for anything. He was nominated, but again, that's under the comedy.
Yeah.
Section.
I think he'll get nominated for Oscar though.
It's going to be a tough. There's three.
You got Hanks, Daniel Day-Lewis,
and Oldman are already. They're locked in.
That's 3. What is it? 5?
It's usually 5. Yeah, it's always 5 with the actors. The movies sometimes they branch out, but
that's tough.
Tough. They gave Denzel a nod for that Roman J. Israel Esquire movie, but I don't hear a lot of good things coming out of that.
I wonder if they'll try to push, in a way, him for Best Supporting Actor for The Room.
Yeah, no, I think you'd have to be lead.
I'd say that, but in essence, he's in the background for a good portion of the movie while it follows his brothers. So you never know. They do some weird stuff to try to get people nominated.
Have you seen this The Greatest Showman trailer with Hugh Jackman? But that's something that might get considered.
I guess so.
Nothing.
I have so many issues with that, man. And it looks so bad, but I have so many issues with that in general.
Well, yeah, they cut out huge parts of his life.
Well, facts. Facts aren't important in these movies, buddy.
Hey, you want to tell a nice thing about the circus?
That's it. Circus is great.
We were wondering if Logan would get any kind of consideration. Nothing for Jackman or
for
Stewart so far.
Lame.
So, yeah, nothing really surprising other than that.
Nothing entertainment news-wise? Nothing else?
Not really. We're all just kind of getting ready.
Cool. Thursday.
Do a quick check of the election if you want to get angry before we go.
No. Better not.
Oh, maybe it might be looking good. It's still too close to call. So for an Alabama election, 2 hours after polls close, it'll still be too close.
Too close to call. That's
that's a good sign.
It's a good enough, right? Yeah.
When has that ever been the case?
That's a victory, right? All right. Okay. Well, hey, the chat showed up. Listen, our Jamil showed up in the chat, so we did something right. And Jamil's gonna be on the show next week. Book it. Jamil's gonna be on the show.
You show up in our chat, you might get booked on the show.
That's right.
Come on.
That's right. And Robert Melee might go see the new Star Wars. So listen. You're welcome, Disney. We gave you maybe a couple more bucks. Hope we enjoy it. Hope we have a good episode next week where we'll be talking about episode 8, The Last Jedi, Last of the Jedi, The Last Jedi, not Last of the Jedi, The Last Jedi.
Well, we will see.
We'll see how it plays out. Great. So thanks everyone. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube. Mario put videos over his face.
I'm probably going to put together a Star Wars playlist. I think we've done enough Star Wars.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I think we've done some stuff. Yeah.
We've done enough Star Wars related movies and how to.
I think we've had a couple. So yeah, do a little Star Wars. A little primer. We got Force Awakens review up here. We have
Rogue One
up here. We'll have this one. So cool. Yeah. So we'll do that. Please make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Movie Stuff Show. And we will be back next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time-ish. 9-ish. We started on time this week.
We've been good with the time.
Pretty good in time. We have a couple of technical issues.
Having some other technical problems. So it's always something.
Ran about 10 minutes long this week, but it's cool.
You know?
I don't mind.
We can chat it up.
I think so. Good night. Bye.